Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to 3AI for organizing this significant virtual event. Actually, we are thrilled to have such a remarkable profiles joining us for our roundtable sessions. My co-anchor Abhishek and I are delighted to welcome our guest, and we look forward to discussing the topic of Gen AI, how Gen AI strategies are going to impact the products in the next few minutes. Welcome, everyone. With Gen AI era, each and every individual and every organization is super busy in learning and adopting Gen AI in their products. Either they are innovating or enhancing the existing products and solutions. But always there is a say. If we are not sure of the access model, we cannot build the to be, right? So hence companies like Microsoft, Google, Adobe, Amazon, AWS are not only involved in innovating, but also trying to enhance the features of Gen AI in the current products. So thereby they are pretty much in modern trends, both in operational and innovation. So with this note, I would like to ask a few questions. Maybe first Rahul. So what do you think, right? What do you think? What is a strategy you like to apply when it comes to Gen AI, and how it is going to impact the products or the product evolution? So, what is your take, Rahul?
Sure, Jay. First of all, really glad to be here, and not just the forum, but the topic as well. I mean, there's been a lot of buzz about Gen AI for sure, but how does it impact the evolution of products? I think a very pertinent topic. Um, One of the things that I'm already seeing is in so my company is in the consulting space. One of our portfolio companies is actually our own CTD commerce company. Now, with the advancement in Gen AI, we're already observing or we feel that there are opportunities to improve the user experience simply by leveraging LLM, for example. I mean, think of how you would process or how you would build the chatbots of earlier era. It'll be very tactical, very yes no, select A, B, C, D, right? It's a painful experience. For example, I as a user never go through it. But now, with the advancements in this whole space, you can actually build a very engaging experience for the user, which is not about just answering questions or helping, but through that whole experience, you can actually influence and inform and inspire the user's decision to a significant extent. So it is about not just about surfacing the content, but how you are surfacing the content, in what journey, like at what part of the journey in that whole Q&A you're surfacing the content, that could really help the user make the right choice. So I think this whole this whole space has thrown up so many opportunities now. We would see a lot of evolution and advancement in how some of the existing products have been built till now, and there's obviously completely new set of products. So I'll take a pause there, but yeah, that's my view.
You're right, Rahul. I mean, as per you say, you're trying to say that still the opportunities are more. We are in the emerge of the era, I would say, rightly
Yeah,
said.
yep.
So, Sahil, so from your point of view, right? I mean, what do you think the strategy, or what sort of strategy you wanted to make it when it comes to the product development or the enhancements what we are doing?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think Rahul has already added, certain points about user experience, right? The way I see now, right, if I give little background, starting from little basics, right? Typically product, right? It's about serving a customer need, right? So typically the problem that we are seeing is that when we talk about Gen AI, right, we go kind of gung-ho about it, right? We don't think from the root level. So the way because I come from the consulting experience, the way we are building the Gen AI platform. So the way we are doing now is we are coming from left hand side. Our first question is what customer do and why they do that, right? And what they want exactly, right? So unless you kind of have that people centric part in the mind, you're not looking at their pain points. Right now what has happened is, let's say earlier, now chatbots, like Rahul also mentioned, were there, right? Now today anybody can come and kind of disrupt that space. It's just making a rag model with a Gen AI, and it will be completely, you are thinking you are the king of the chatbot world, and your product is nowhere, right? So So that can happen. So unless you really understand, the complete journeys of user, what they do, why they do, right, you don't know the pain point. And once you know the pain points, you can solve the problems. And now the way we are looking this space is, there are two aspects to succeed and to make your product better. First, understand customer experience, customer pain points, and based on that, you are either going deep horizontally. When I say deep horizontally, means you are talking about a complete ecosystem where you have Salesforce, ERP, every system integrated. Right? How deep you can go to serve a value, and that value can still be very horizontal. I'm talking about data platforms, all this bringing together, and everywhere you have a rag, and it is kind of serving you overall value. Even if you do that, your product will be better, right? Now, for example, in Adobe, right now you have done in the Photoshop GenAI integration. Now it has added another value, and product has become even stronger, right? So that's one way I look at it. Second part I will say, in the pain point to the value creation is, you go vertical deep, right? You, let's say, take a simple rag model, not looking at the other ecosystem in the beginning, but you're looking to solve a very, very deep, business problem. For example, healthcare now, right? Let's say you want to kind of you want to let's say improve the that appointment booking system, right? You can understand the pain point of receptionist, where you call the doctor who's kind of serving the patient for 10-minute slots, right? And then you're going and waiting in a queue for 45 minutes, even if your appointment is 12:30. Now think about if the GenAI based system can analyze that your health records, right? How much time you will be needing for a doctor, right? And doctor can also understand. Then now it's not a one size fit all kind of problem. Now you understood the problem first, that vertical problem that you're solving, right? I think that's the way I see. You can basically, again, left to right, go understand problem and fix it. Either go vertical deep or horizontal deep.
Right. So basically, you're saying that each and every vertical needs the adoption of Gen AI, right? I mean, that's
Right.
what your point of view. I think pretty well said, because that's where we are all targeting. I mean, each and every, even a small company is targeting each vertical. That's what we have right now. And with that, Anuj, so you can share your thoughts on the same note. Like, what do you think about the strategy, or what makes, for the products?
Sure. Yeah, I very much agree with what Sahil has just talked about, right? And as he said, there are two ways we can go, vertical or horizontal. And I think there is also a distinction between the enterprise guys and the startup guys. So if you are an incumbent, if you are an enterprise, if you are a big company, you just have to think about where exactly you can make changes in your product strategy so that Gen AI can help you in that particular product or wherever your area is, right? And there are so many new niche players coming in where they can trying to disrupt you using Gen AI, right? And if you are a startup, you have to find where in the workflow you can get that niche for yourself, so that either you can do it yourself or you can tie up with somebody so that you can be part of that whole workflow, right? So I come from a startup background. So my last stint was with the startup. So just to give an example, like our startup was kind of a mid-journey clone. So I think most of you know what is what mid-journey does. It is just a platform where you can go and put in some prompts and you will get some images. So we try to build the same platform, same kind of platform, and we were successful at that. We got a good customer base, all that was good. But at the end of the day, you have to decide whether you need to continue in that same space or you need to go vertical and address a particular customer pain point, right? So unless you do that, you will remain like a horizontal guy across the industry, and there it is more of a game, number game. If you have deep pockets, you can really play that game. But if you don't have, you will be some. It is just like a cost thing, right? So you will have to come out of it some at some point or the other. And that is why we try to integrate with like art studios or design studios, because that is where we felt that the real customer pain point can be addressed, and that is where the real domain knowledge lies, right? So that is one example where you can see like how Gen AI companies that come up, they can actually find a actual customer pain point and try to go vertical and go deep into that, and they have to build that whole model around that particular domain. Yeah, I can go on, but I think I'll stop at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think some of the points raised so far have been fantastic. I think there's always that battle of platform versus product versus solution, and I think that's something that we all, as part of the product community, have been part of. Dr. Chiranjeev, I'd like to bring your perspective, and I think because you bring in a lot of depth in terms of how these things happen, right? And you have a massive background with regards to natural language querying, etc. Why don't you give us a little bit of a view from the technology perspective as well, as to how do you see this technology playing out, and where do you see it fit into the product world?
Absolutely. Thank you, 3AI, for this opportunity. Thank you, Abhishek, and thank you, everybody. I've spent 22 years in learning this field, artificial intelligence. I started from being a data scientist. Today, I do everything under the sun, right? I spent consulting and product development, both of them together. I am part of an AI company right now today. We build products, solutions, and services for multiple organizations across the world, right? CPGs, retails, to healthcare, and so on and so forth. Generative AI is the first cousin of artificial intelligence. Let's be very honest about it. And when I say first cousin, artificial intelligence at the technological level is built up of multiple layers, from data to machine learning, or advanced machine learning, to be precise. Under machine learning, you have multiple practices like NLPs to your blockchain problems and so on and so forth, meta heuristic algorithms. So that's the actual technological part. If you do not know the layers, you would not be able to cultivate the culture of experimentation and agility. Right? That's how profound organizations have been able to continue with it. Why am I saying this? Is because today generative artificial intelligence is going to, and it's already, as Anuj and Rahul said, right, is going to disrupt everything. It's already disrupting. It is disrupting because it is able to communicate to a human being, where general machine learning models were not being able to talk, taking information from a human being and giving it back to a human being as well, or a set of human beings. So what it changed? It impacts customer service, personalization. It will impact inventory management, the core of the supply chain, even from retail to any vertical that you take. You personalize shopping experience and so on and so forth. But at the core, you would not be able to change the descriptives and predictive and prescriptive models. Basically, that has been profound. Use it for the well-being, and that would be the product impact.
Yep.
It needs strategic development. That means you need to have a robust Gen AI roadmap, and which integrates all the layers, including the artificial intelligence capabilities. Third, you require a strategic learning, right, across the organization. You need to invest in continuous learning programs for teams to be updated, leaders to be profound, being coming into 3AIs and multiple forums like this, because there are very less forums discussing about it. It's not about how would you go ahead and plug a pandas model. It's not that, right? You just don't use a package and just get it done. You need to have an entire strategy into picture. You need to learn it every day. That's how learning has to be happening. So actionability from this point, right, is artificial intelligence is going to be only experience from now onwards. Human beings will pay for experience, right? How would you gain that and become the best inside your GCC or as a startup, right? Is focusing on integration, right? On bringing in that value across your value chain. You develop a critical and clear Gen AI roadmap, bringing the entire organization together, because everybody is valuable. Anybody will contribute to it. And finally, invest in continuous learning. One example we just cracked, and probably we will be showcasing, is we have been doing data generation market research for a long time. We developed an analogy through which we can go ahead and actually chat with a persona. So the entire market research, where you do a primary survey in order to understand what the market needs, you can actually synthetically develop it, right?
Oh, wow.
On this part. And you would be not only just be able to generate the responses, and it's actually more than 90% equivalent to how a human being will talk about, because of the sheer nature that LLMs have learned how things have been done. But at the end of the day, we use all the layers of machine learning to artificial intelligence and LLM. So this is just one of the examples. Disruption will come everywhere, but experience is the key for artificial intelligence.
Tina, I'd like to bring you in again with that whole experience of working with an organization so focused on customer experience, and as Dr. Chiranjiv talked about experience as a whole. What is your sense? How are products in your space changing, and Gen AI making a difference to what you're seeing around?
Yeah, I think a lot of people here, great minds, have spoken a lot of things which is really resonating with what we do currently. In terms of products, I think one of the things that we speak about is what is the objective in mind. Where do we want to take the product, and what is the vision that we have in order to take the product forward using Gen AI, right? That clarity and that decision needs to be made even before we jump into the Gen AI space. The second is what kind of users are going to use this product. So, and what are the skill levels, right? Is a simple English just going to work, or are they going to have more context? Are they going to add more context into their prompts? That is extremely important for us to design our products and to make it so robust that users across all mixes are able to use it. The third, of course, is availability of data. This is used largely to train our model and our Gen AI LLMs. And the relevancy of the data, the accuracy of the data, is it devoid of all the customer information? We don't want to really put in customer information within the models while training the models. So in order to do this, requires a lot of manpower, requires a lot of effort. The sourcing of the data plus the cleansing of the data and checking if it is relevant or not for your use case. That's extremely important. And this could be very essential in document generation, where you generate a lot of documents very specific to the area that you are in. So for example, RFPs or SOWs or even codes, right? There are certain formats that organizations follow. Is Gen AI able to give you, or the product that you're building, is it able to give you relevant contextual documentation or the code that you are expecting? And do users have to spend a lot of time in modifying that, or with minor modifications they're able to just use it? So I would say third is definitely data. And the fourth is a detailed architecture diagram, along with all the tools that we are using, understanding of which LLM are we going to use, why are we going to use that LLM, is it different from the other LLMs available in the market, designing a proper architecture which tells us what is going to be the input pipeline, what embeddings are we going to use, how can we, fine tune our system prompts so that the user context and the context from our RAG is synchronized and gives us a better response. And then of course the hosting framework, and how do we incorporate the human feedback within the model so that we continuously fine tuning the model so we get better and better results each time. So that's my take, Abhishek.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because I think you echoed a bit of what Dr. Chiranjeev said, as well as the rest of the group, both from the perspective of, hey, you don't just need to look at the final outcome. There has to be a process to it. It starts with data. You need to have the right platform to deliver, and then the delivery happens, which also indicates one of the points said earlier, which is it's all not just vertical, but even horizontal has to be looked at to solve the problem as a whole. That's fantastic. Srini, you come from a background of a company which has been in a very different industry than rest of us. How is it that you guys are looking at this, and this is completely disruptive, right? And it's disruptive in a very different way for your industry. Can you just tell us about your experience and what your thought process is?
Yeah. See, I'm going to be. My view is totally different from what these people are telling. Okay, absolutely
Wonderful.
different. Okay, so I'll tell you. See, First thing is Gen AI is there. It doesn't mean every damn product should use Gen AI. That's the first thing. Because I'm an ML guy myself. I'm an AI and ML guy myself. I have built models myself. Okay, and it has been implemented as well. So I know what is the power of ML. Okay, so ML is really powerful. Okay, so we cannot say, I think most of us know neural network, etc., etc. First of all, any organization, whether it's a product building or a manufacturing or a healthcare, etc., etc., they need to know, why should I use Gen AI? Is it relevant to me? First question. I can solve the problem using an ML model, man. Why should I go for a Gen AI? Simple. Because yesterday I was in a CEO conference. Topic is, we are talking about Industry 5.0. I hope most of you know what is 4.0. So we are talking about Industry 5.0. So I'll tell you what is the crux of Industry 5.0. Industry 5.0 is about cognitive analysis, cognitive technology, usage of cognitive technology. I hope all of you know what is cognitive technology. Okay, so I'll tell you, for implementing this is world over. India is very, very nascent to it, but there are big companies, giants, started exploring 5.0 already. They have started using cognitive technologies. For using this cognitive technology, I feel Gen AI is the best. Okay, the reason I'll tell you, there are just a couple of reasons. See, in a manufacturing, healthcare industry, any industry you take, as somebody was saying, data is the key. See, the biggest problem with 4.0 is it generates waste. Waste here is tons and tons of data, man. Multiple TBs get generated. Okay, so when tons and tons of data gets generated, most of them don't know what to do with it. Okay, most of them don't know what to do with it, and most of the data just lie there without being of any use. This is the first point. So this is the biggest drawback of 4.0. So this is what people are trying to solve using 5.0, and for that only they use a cognitive technologies, and Gen AI can help you, because what is the power of Gen AI. Okay, the LLMs, the other things. So using the LLMs and the big model, it will be very easy for you to process tons and tons of data at a very quicker time. See, otherwise I'll tell you, okay, I believe Gen AI is mostly you're going to use a cloud infrastructure of some vendor. Okay, so otherwise, processing this tons and tons of data in a cloud infrastructure, it's going to consume a lot of effort, a lot of resources, and a lot of manpower analyzing it. It takes a humongous effort, especially in manufacturing data. You have hundreds of machine, each machine generating so much of data from the sensors. So this is where your Gen AI will come out with its powerful build. That powerful build will help you to process these data and give you a very quick output.
Absolutely. I think the reason I love speaking with people from domain is because they show us the mirror. Especially to us product guys, where we sometimes in our dream world, and then when the rubber hits the road, that's when you realize that the road is much rougher than what you thought. So lovely points there, and the data quality point, absolutely top notch, because I think that's going to be one of the big use cases of Gen AI, which people don't really talk about. Talk about a lot. I'll just take 30 seconds to summarize what we discussed. I think some fantastic points here. We talked about the horizontal and vertical side of how products need to be looked at, both in terms of solving niche problems as well as solving it as a process. I think Rahul, Anuj, and Sahil, their focus was a lot on customer experience in the vertical and the horizontal play. Dr. Chiranjiv made a very important point, saying that it's not just the cream that you need to talk about. You need to talk about all the layers that leads to the cream, right? So it's not just the outcome, but right from the data to the outcome, what does it take? Tina also echoed what Dr. Chiranjeev said in terms of how it is important to have the right technical stack, to have the right LLMs, to have the right RAG models in place. But again, it somewhere we have to look at the data and the process. And I love when Srini came in and said, hey, all this is great, but at the end of the day, it should solve my problem. And for that, you need the right data, and generative AI can be one of those really tip of the spear as far as solving for data quality is concerned, especially around the industry domain, because we know the amount of data that industries and machines generate. So if there's no data, there is no ML, there is no Gen AI, and that focus on ML, Srini, I think is also very important. We can't just shove away the basics and only focus on something which is a nice shiny object. This was a wonderful talk. I think I really enjoyed every moment of it. I hope we had another hour, and I'm sure we would have had tons of things to talk about. But thanks a lot for this. And thanks, Jeff, for co hosting this with me. I hope this is something that everybody else gets to hear and enjoy. And I look forward to connecting with you in various forums.